Hello, my name is Roger Watson and welcome to this session on using SPSS, some basic steps. This session is designed specifically for a module on quantitative methods, and for that you will need an SPSS data file and also the instruction sheet. And this is the instruction sheet, or at least the first 3 points in it. To get started, you have to find the file using spss.sav. You have to open that file either by clicking on the file or clicking on SPSS and using File Open Data and finding the file on the desktop and clicking on it. At the bottom left you will see two tabs, Variable View and Data View. Click on Variable View and you will see a list of variables down the left hand side: gender, age, BCQ, FHQ, _W1 and so on. These correspond to the gender, age, being clever and scores on the fictitious Feeling Happy questionnaire, the FHQ, which has 12 items. You will see that there are _W1 and _W2 variables, which are the variables measured at 2 times, 1 year apart. You will also see the totals for scores FHQT for both time waves. This all assumes, of course, that you have got SPSS loaded onto your computer. And this is the variable view here, as I described previously. The names of the variables are down the left hand side, and the type, and for some of them the labels. You can essentially at this point ignore all the other columns. And these are the exercises that you have to do. Using the SPSS program, you'll do the following. 1. Work out how many males and females participated in the study. 2. Work out the mean, median, mode, maximum and minimum age and the standard deviation for age. 3. Check the total scores for the FHQ are correct. 4. See if there's a difference between the FHQ at time 1 and time 2. And 5. See if there's a relationship between FHQ at time 2 and being clever. So first of all, we're going to work out how many males and females participated. I'm going to read out what you've got to do. I'll show you what the answer is, and then we'll go through it step by step. So for this exercise, you will use the facilities under Analyse in the toolbar. You click on Analyse, then on Descriptive Statistics, then on Frequencies, then on Gender, and then move Gender to the Variables box using the curved arrow. Then tick Statistics and untick Minimum and Maximum. Continue, and then OK. And the output should look like the next slide. So there you have the solution. We'll run through that step by step with screenshots. First of all, click on Analyse and run down to Descriptive Statistics. Under Descriptive Statistics, click on Frequencies. Under Frequencies, highlight Gender, and using the curved arrow, move Gender into the Variables box. Then click Statistics, and under Statistics you want to untick Minimum and Maximum down at the bottom left, and then Continue, and when the next view comes up, press OK, and you should get the solution as shown in the next slide. And when you press OK, the output should be like that, which is exactly like the one I showed you earlier. So we've worked out how many males and females participated. There are 36 males, 121 females, and 1 person did not respond to the questionnaire. Now I want you to work out the mean, median, mode, maximum and minimum age and the standard deviation for age. For this exercise, you will use facilities under Analyse in the toolbar. Click on Analyse, then on descriptive statistics, then on frequencies. Click on gender and move it back to the list of variables using the curved arrow. Then click on age and move it into the variables box using the curved arrow. Then click on statistics, tick, mean, median mode, standard deviation, minimum and maximum, and then continue, and in the next view press OK, and the output should look like the next slide. And here it is. So we'll run through that step by step with screenshots just to see if you can get the same. So we've pressed on Analyse and brought up frequencies, and we've moved gender out and moved age in as instructed. Then tick statistics and tick all the boxes shown, mean, median, mode, standard deviation, maximum and minimum, and continue, and then OK, and you should get this view here, which is exactly the same as the one I showed you previously. And so we've worked out that the mean, mode and median age are all 19, the minimum age is 18 and the maximum age is 26, and the standard deviation is 1. Next, I want you to check that the total scores for the FHQ at time 1 are correct. For this exercise you will use facilities under Transform in the toolbar. Click on Transform, Compute Variable, and in Target Variable type FHQT1, click on the numeric expression box, and then in turn on FHQ_W1, use curved arrow to move the variable into the numeric expression box, and then click on plus on the calculator below the numeric expression box, and continue until you've entered all 12 variables with plus between them, and click OK, and the output should look like this. And that just lets you see that you've done it correctly. Now we'll run through all this with screenshots. So you click on Transform, and then on Compute Variable. Brings up a box like that. Highlight the variable that you want, FHQT_W1, and move it into the numeric expression with the curved arrow and add plus. You can type this in or use the calculator at the bottom. Continue until all the variables are in, and then press OK. Back to that again, which shows you that you've done it correctly. Then click on Data View and scroll to the right hand side of the spreadsheet, and you should see a new variable FHQT1 with values identical to those under FHQT-W1. Therefore, we conclude that the total score was correct. So compare the variables in the third but last and the last column, and they are the same. So what you've learned to do there is how to calculate a total score. Next, I want you to see if there's a difference between FHQ at time 1 and time 2. For this exercise, you will go back to using facilities under Analyse in the toolbar. Click on Analyse, Compare Means, click on Paired Sample t-test, click on FHQ Total Wave 1 and move it into the Paired Variables box using the curved arrow, and do the same for FHQ Total Wave 2. Click OK, and the output should look like this. So we'll run through that step by step with screenshots. Click on Analyse and then on Compare Means, and then roll down to a Paired Sample t-test and click on that. That opens up a box like this. click on the variables that I asked you to click on, which are the total variables at time 1 and time 2 for FHQ. That enters the first variable, and that enters the second variable. Then press OK. And here's the output, and there are 3 boxes. Look at the top one first under mean, and you see that the mean score for the FHQ at wave 1, wave 2 has increased over time. Then go down to the third box and look along to the right, and under significance, two-tailed in brackets, you see that p is equal to 0.01. Higher scores on the FHQ indicate greater happiness, and since the significance is 0.01, we can conclude that there's a greater happiness at time 2. Next, let's look and see if there's a relationship between FHQ at time 2 and being clever. For this exercise, you will again use facilities under Analyse in the toolbar. Click on Analyse, then on Correlate, then on Bivariate. Click on Being Clever Score and move to Variables box using the curved arrow, and do the same with FHQ, Total Wave 2, using the defaults Pearson and two-tailed. Click OK, and the output should look like this. So let's run through that and see if we get that, and then look and see what it means. Click on Analyse and scroll down to Correlate, and then move right to Bivariate. Click on that, and you will get this box. Click on the 2 variables of interest and move them into the variables box using the curved arrow, like this. Use the default setting there of Pearson's and two-tailed test, and flagging significant correlations, and press OK. And here's the output from a Pearson's correlation of 2 variables. The Being Clever score and the FHQ Total Wave 2 scores are clearly perfectly correlated with each other, so the correlations there are 1. You can see that n is 158 for those. For the Pearson's correlation between FHQ Total Wave 2 and Being Clever score, let's look at the bottom left box, which is just reflected in the top right box. Pearson's correlation is minus 0.008, so it's negligible. The significance is huge, it's 0.937, and only 103 people completed all the data there. So the correlation is very small, and in fact it's negative, and the significance is very high. Therefore we conclude that there's no relationship. That's been a very quick run through using SPSS, just to show you the basics on how to manipulate the variables and how to do the various calculations. Clearly there's a lot more to be learned. So you've looked at working out the n in a sample and the central tendency and the spread. You've done a basic paired t-test and a correlation. And here are some books that you might find useful. Thanks very much for listening. Here's my email for any questions or comments, and you can follow me on Twitter. Once again, thank you very much for listening.